love you, and I love you enough to tell you, you ain't ready to revolt shit. You don't feed yourself, you don't hunt your own animals and slaughter them, you don't prepare for your own meat, you don't own your own land, you don't have a seed growing in your window. So when you think about revolutionaryism, and you think about fighting and dying in the street, you ain't shit.
Killer Mike said black people ain't ready to revolt. It's a disparaging marriage and he ready to elope. Maritime coastline, deep V hull boat. Crack a nose turned up, machete to your throat. The divine snatched the arm back, she fine, she in Zinga. Moroccan mercenary got a line on Moringa. Ask Chief X to swing it. Go fund me to rock a new car or build a school like I'm Dr. Umar. Nah, go fund some more guns, banana clips and cannabis, and bury it, the jackal, Anubis. I'm cool, keep them heaters, and I'm in tie in an abyss. He ain't rapping due to libations, he just channeling this.
Hands down, you ain't ready to oppose nothing. You are as a part of this system as any white person gentrified.
I'm on life. Hovercraft propellers over swamp water. We make the thoughtful think they should have thought harder. Be aware of this. Don't blink, there's only one blunt between the careful and careless. It's hard to face it when you need a shrink or a therapist. Mental disorder ordered them to label you a terrorist. I breathe elements and I found the secret. We could all walk on water if it's ground beneath it. I carry my weapon and keep my trees, and still be Hotep and ask Tariq Nasheed. 6 in the morning I greet my seed, then do everything I think I need.
I have to say this because I know our spirit and our emotions get stirred. I'm not against nobody on the panel. I'm with everybody on the panel. I'm not diametrically opposed to I agree with everything my brother said about revolutionaryism. So let me ask you guys a few questions. We're in the South, we're in the heart of the South right now. Fishing. Who knows how to fish? Hands down. Who knows how to hunt? Let's hands down. Hands down. Hands down.
Black people, are you ready to revolt? Black people, are you ready to revolt?
So that's the best y'all got. Don't tell me Chief X the best y'all got.
Black people, are you ready to revolt? Black people, are you ready to revolt?
We live right on the Sex Smash Rock Wellington show. Yes, it's about 3:57 Pacific time, and I'm doing my thing. Shout out to all the people in the chat, and check it out. Today, we're tapping in with our radio personality style. That's right, that's it, Smash Rock Wellington. You know, I could very well be doing this for the local radio, Bob. What do you think? Yeah, this guy is multi-talented, and right now, first we're going to get into the traffic. I have a radio station popping because I ain't even going to do it all like that for too long. I'm just going to show I could do that in the interview. Then I'm going to show them what really go. But I think the newbies want to hear that hard coof real quick. See, they thought we want to bob our head slow because we got accuracy. We might be listening to this with the bow. Let's listen to that hard coof produced by Dead Perry and have a little party because Chief X got caught out there.
Morodic script in my car.
On and burn one, man. This Smash Rockwell channel, man. It's good.
Hard cool. That's in my shinu. I'm Bennu giving y'all truth. Iron core from meteorite should be chartreuse. Turbocharged the chariot and almost left Ferrari. The queen like almost Nefertari. Immortalize an image, put a figure in a figurine. Him at letter and hoop her. Them leopard skin kilts, yeah, the clan wear 'em. And I turn your knee suit to a fan bearer. Have my servants build a new stadium where I'ma slaughter you, surround your tumor line with boot cranium. Remove the organs, we preserve the dead. Mummify them, then carve them a reserve head. And all your internet mans who lied with you, died with you, sacrificed their life, afterlife with you. Now I'm all in your spot, and and I'm calling the shots. While your soul get devoured in the hall of my heart. Can't a night ballin' or not, care if you ballin' or not. I'm still gonna tell you guys, go to Kemet like El Shaddai. You ain't no king, you're like Cambyses the Persian who couldn't draw the Nubian bowstring. Melt the jewels in your crown into a gold ring. Refashion them after smashing the whole thing. You're like Pepe II. Too old, king. If you think it ain't black, then let me just check them. I know the syntax. Every morphine and phoneme. The scholarship top line, dog, and the flow mean. And my debate to make a fraud quit the internet. Sometimes I wonder if I saw to fix this window yet. That's what you call repair, re-end. They heard the king of Madjai was a scary man. And he is though, I'm telling you, you better contain him, man. He's busting arrows at all these Mediterraneans, killing them. Now we ain't getting no views. Yeah, them flip-flops look like Tutankhamun shoes. And y'all just wiki, thinking I'm enthused. They turned Egyptian temples to churches and still say, I'm enthused. It's crazy. They just wiki, cause they lazy. So they can call me pseudo, it don't faze me. The page monetized, so crushing you clowns pays.
Oh man, it be hella fun. Like, how cats gonna be refuted and then right in their face, they just say, turn right back and say, just like I said, no North Africans, blah, blah, blah. Man, that's why you don't want to talk to nobody. Because you got to come back with a better, it's like you playing chess and you jump a man, I mean, you know, not jump. You take a person piece and then they grab the piece and put it back on the board. And you like, dude, I just took that piece. Nah, you ain't take this piece. Why even listen to that? They ain't got nothing but wiki. So let's talk more about the madjai. Because I like giving people that real work. I was proud when the madjai were the police because it ain't no way you could get around that. But the actual scholarship showing is different. What I mean is, in the day and age of, I don't know what day and age. Well, I do know the day and age when you could do slave armies. I think it started when they started getting these superior weapons, right? And weapons that could kill more than one person at a time. But you have to think of the whole concept of a slave army is antiquated. And everybody know that can't be what's going on no more. Yeah, she at San Bernardino, Southern California right now, Kate Liska. Last time I talked to her when I was trying to enroll into, what's the school called? The University of Manchester, and I was trying to find a path towards some type of accreditation. She is the leading scholar on the madjai right now. And when I say that, the leading scholar on the madjai, I mean, she wrote her dissertation on them. So that's normally the person that, you know, who got the most peer-reviewed information on the subject because she had to defend her dissertation. Now, anybody like this ain't even going to entertain this Nubian stuff. People think Nubian is a race. And if you even on the wiki, it'll just discredit them if they knew how to read it. Nubia wasn't called Nubia. It was called Tasseti. So right there, you checkmated. Tasseti is the first nome in Egypt. So are Nubians Egyptians, yes or no? If the first city in California was Stockton, which it is, people didn't know that. First city in California was Stockton, right? And then, and then you build California and you're trying to say people from Stockton ain't Californians. That's hella stupid. Everybody know they didn't say Nubia. If you don't know that, you know they didn't say Nubia, right? All right, so this is what it is. Sa, if you watching, because I know it's the you in the YouTube streets, I understand. But cats with they like they reinstatement Sonetta pass, they don't get to close the show on the people who have their permanent Sonetta pass and they never fucked that up. And that's facts, right? You don't get no dude no weekend pass on Sonetta TV and let them cut the line and end the show over your real ones. The ones that you ain't never got into it with. Feel me? That's just how that be. That's why I was just quiet and I just let you think. But I was laughing. It's all be good fun, man. We be having some fun. All right. Now, like I told you, the majority of her work is specifically on the Magi. Now, I'm telling you, if we understand that this name, Nubians, ain't a real thing, and then that the first old kingdom only go from the old dynasty, the first dynasty to the sixth dynasty, 6 families. And they fell apart because they didn't have enough muscle. But every time they had beef, they had to go to the south. So since their might and muscle was based on the people that they knew in the south, Egyptologists tried to say that they formed slave armies. So imagine this. You could take this context into any time period and see how hard this would be to do. Let's imagine the scenario. You got some beef right now, right? But you know some people who can help you. And they south of where you are right now, the people who can help you. You got some beef with some people from the north of wherever you are right now. In your city. They from the north or whatever. And you got some homies on the south that can help you. Now, people propose that when they had this beef with the Asiatic sand dwellers, that the people called Egyptians went to the south and made slave armies out of another race of people called the Nubians. Now that you can know that viewpoint is antiquated. That's an old view. That don't make no sense no more. But let's think about it in all the practicality of the matter. How do you make a slave army out of archers that you need to help you fight? That means you ain't got enough muscle to fight yourself. So then what vices do you use to make some people be your slaves and fight for you? There's not one. That's all fake. Nobody in the chat can think of one. And we're all thinking, man, say you're the king and you got some people that's coming from the north that might topple you. Then what make you think you strong enough to go make a slave army? Even if you were smaller than the people about to topple you and bigger than those that you think you're going to make a slave army out of, the weaponry of the time would not allow you to do so. Nubians were archers. Ancient Egyptians was up in close hand-to-hand combat. The only spear you see in ancient Egypt is with some southerners. Okay? So when we say Nubians was archers and Egyptians was this, the southern contingency that didn't experience the floodplain, they didn't refer to agriculture for means of survival. Therefore, they kept on hunting and gathering. That's all the difference is. They kept on hunting and gathering. So let's look at some of this Kate Liska work, because the one I was showing y'all is going to dispel everything about them being the police and them not being Egyptians. She's going to tell you the ethnonym Magi ends at about the 6th dynasty, to where they talk about certain people from a certain place. Then it just became a name of some people of the Egyptian population. But she talks about all this. Look, Pangrave of the Magi, intersection of archaeology and history. Discerning ancient identities, the case of Ashayet sarcophagus in the Journal of Ancient Egyptian History. Shout out for everybody who voted for me on that slaughter that I just did on Sonetta TV that went 82. Somebody's, and you know I'm from 8 Deuce, and that's why when I seen that number 82, I was like, see, that's how it worked. Now, 82 to 17 don't sound right. I mean, that ain't right. Couldn't be right. But I guess it was 83 to 17 or whatever. Kate Liska, 2017. Egyptian or Nubian? Dry stone architecture. She keep on telling us that this problem we got with this Egyptian and this Nubian thing, and many scholars tell us this, but I want to go into a few very good documents. Here go another thing. All of these fortresses to the south that were so-called made by Egyptians to keep the fake people group Nubians out, they were all patrolled by Nubians. They were all patrolled by Nubians. Look at all the work she got on this. Liska and Kramer, 2016, evidence for the administration of the Nubian fortress in the late Middle Kingdom. Now she goes into this fortress and saying, how y'all gonna say they built these I know all her work. I can tell you what each of these documents is about. I mess with Kate Liska. She's one of my favorite. Because I got the Magi as my moniker, so I gotta not get snuck. Can't nobody sneak me. Look, Liska and Kramer, or whatever, 2016, evidence for the administration of the Nubian fortress in the late Middle Kingdom, Papyrus Ramesseum 18, General Egyptian History, and they're gonna pages. In this document, she gonna tell you everybody at that fortress that y'all thought was to keep out Nubians was Nubians. The people in the fortress, see, it don't work when you think Nubians is a race group. But it makes perfect sense if you understand Nubians as Southerners. I'm going to play this slap. We're going to have some fun. I just want to go take a quick break so that I can have a better show. Let's listen to this guy kill it one time. I'll be right back.
If you ain't Sinetta, no time for that interview, dog. I put my shit out for niggas, I don't send it to blogs. Plan kill off the Buddha, not being discreet. One puff, this big pops and projectiles between the sheets. Sun run, cold game, bring your cleats. The best flow blow, Eskimo, penguin feet. Don't need no blunt to burn. You run the turf with 10 niggas on the block. That's a punt return. Ayo, Dolomite prototype soldier with the solar light. Saber and he hold it like he hold a mic. Golden ice spenders. Sipping on that overpriced poltergeist spirits. Ripping at the open mic, spoke the nice lyrics like Mama moved mean overnight. Golden motorbike holding on some Tron shit. That nice neon kit is on it. The king's libation with exotic liqueur. The queen's vibration like a Sada Shakur. A lot of decor, imported foreign threads, they ain't got it to store. Nubian Kush, black top pottery jaws, 39% THC, the quality pure. Old rapper try to spit ain't hot as before. It's like I'm 5 flights above, busting shots at the floor. Cats switch up their style when they ain't got it no more, cause they gotta keep their product in stores to feed they kids.
Alright, hold on.
See what that weed did? Yes.
Yeah. So in this document, she's talking about the Simna dispatches. It says the Simna dispatches hold unparalleled importance as one of the only papyri remaining for our understanding of Egypt's control over its lower Nubian forts in the late Middle Kingdom. Here we provide an addition and commentary on Papyrus Ramesseum 18, another text concerning the forts. Its only previous publication was a photograph in Alice Gardner's Ramesseum papyri plates in 1955. The text provides evidence for oversight from the office of the vizier in the forms of letters to the forts, in support of which only seal impressions of the duties of the vizier attested formally, I should have said. One letter alerts the fortress of Elephantine and Kuban about the upcoming inspections. Another mentions an official from Efu connected with the Magi commander, Uret district of Kuban. Dating to the transition of the dynasty 12 and 13, the letters verify the continuing control of the forts during the rotation of personnel in Egypt. Now, what we see in here is that all these forts that was supposed to keep out Nubians was patrolled by Nubians. But that ain't want to show. I want to go to the document about the Nubians supposed to be the police. That's old information. Let me see. Here we go. And I probably have to read some of this. I'm about to open up a chat right now just on some chill. Chief X act like he lost the discussion or the poll. 83 to 17 is because we was on side of the show and side of the audience is biased. Man, please. That audience will fry you if you ain't got no sources. Let me see if I can find my chat. YouTube. Here we go. 88 people. Shout out to y'all. What's up to the chat? Sister Denisha, I see you. What's up with Tall Hey Roo? Tall guy. There go the link. KB African Roots. How you doing? What's up with Kim? What's up? Yeah, I know. Sometimes they just let me get cut off too much. I'll be like, man, come on. Put some respect on my name. I'm the only one putting on sources. So basically about this Nubian thing, the mistake a lot of us make is to think that the Nubians were a different race of people. This whole race thing is a problem. So I'm going to let y'all, I always try to give y'all the scholars so you don't have to say Smash said. let me see. I'm about to show y'all what the scholars say about the subject. Nubians ain't a different race. They were the Southern contingency. I'm about to click on this from a Nubiologist, Aaron DeSosa. Let's hear what he says. Oh, I got this muted.
We've inherited of Nubia, but also quite problematic is that our perspectives that we've inherited of Nubia are heavily Egyptocentric. They were created by people who had ulterior motives in wanting to make Egypt sort of not African. But in that way, if we separate Egypt from Africa, we're losing a huge part of the story because we can see that these regions were really interconnected. And so instead of dividing, which is what this culture historical system does, we need to find ways that these cultures were actually interconnected. And that is what makes it more complex and more challenging. So to illustrate this idea of interconnection, but also quite problematic is that our perspectives that we've inherited of Nubia are heavily Egyptocentric. They were created by people who had ulterior motives in wanting to make Egypt sort of not African. But in that way, if we separate Egypt from Africa, we're losing a huge part of the story because we can see that these regions were really interconnected. And so instead of dividing, which is what this culture historical system does, we need to find ways that these cultures were actually interconnected. And that is what makes it more complex and more challenging. So to illustrate this idea of interconnections, I want to show you a series of maps that sort of schematically lay.
All right, we're going to address the people in the chat. What's up with Super Wavy? Yo, peace.
What's up with it, Smash?
What up with it?
Man, your ass caught a motherfucking body. Nigga, you should be in jail, nigga, for murder. Nigga, your ass need to be in jail for assault.
I don't even know. He thought he had something, but he just was on there tripping. I ain't even go hard either. I just was doing what we normally do. But thanks for the cool words. I'm about to finish playing this video. Let's hear what they say. Let's hear what he say about to the people who think Nubians was a different race. Because he's like, oh, you thought they was Egyptians. I'm like, bro, you don't understand it. So let's go.
He's out where my brain is going with all of this stuff. So we'll start with the big division, which is Egypt and Nubia. Of course, bearing in mind that these terms are anachronistic, but that's another lecture for another time. But these two things are very often presented as if they're distinct cultural entities that don't mix, like oil and water. Egypt, we know from ancient texts and also from Egyptian ideologies that Egypt is the Nile Valley from the Mediterranean coast to the First Cataract, and then everything south of the First Cataract is Nubia. And we know that the First Cataract was perceived as this sort of frontier where Egypt ended. It's where the nome counting system started, moving north. So there was always this sort of divide. But in reality, if we look at the archaeological evidence, we can see that there is really a lot of overlap between Egypt and Nubia, because Nubians, we know, were always in Egypt. There are Nubian burials and cemeteries going way back into the pre-dynastic period.
Now, let's stop. Because Nubians, as we know it, were always in Egypt. No, so when he showed this new graph, it's more evident here because he took the blue circle, which represents Nubia, and it overlaps the green circle, which represents Egypt. He said this is in reality how the situation went. Now notice this cluster along the Nile here, right, is all blue. He's saying that this interior about the Nile right here, that was Nubians. This was Nubians. From, you see this is Thebes right here? Now that's the First Cataract. So yes, a lot of the blue does go outside of this. Now look, if you're looking at this green area, obviously, and then we could see how that came down here too. These cultures were intertwined, and the separation that we do between Egyptians and Nubians is pseudo, as he about to say.
We also know that Nubians were involved in the military, they were involved in mining and trade, they were working as temple staff for Egyptians, they were doing all sorts of things in Egypt. They were probably living there for centuries. Conversely, we know that Egyptians were always in Nubia. There were royal expeditions during the Old Kingdom into Nubia. There were fortresses in the Middle Kingdom. There was a New Kingdom colonization. So really, the division between Egypt and Nubia is purely ideological. This First Cataract was never really a frontier. And we can even see this reinforced when we look at the Egyptian words for various regions. They have this term Tarseti, which we've heard from previous lectures as well, which was used as a generic term for the land south of the First Cataract.
Y'all hear that?
But it was also the name of the first Upper Egyptian nome. So
listen, he's telling us here what I was saying, and thanks to the people with the kind stuff in the chat that's new to the channel. Shout out to y'all. Now look, he's saying what we say, and this is only, I mean, we could think of this on the most simple level. What we know as Nubia, there was not really an ancient word for that. And he's saying that it was actually Tarseti. But Tarseti is the name of the first Egyptian nome. A nome would be equal to a city. So everybody got to reckon with that. And this is what the new scholarship says. I'm going to let it play.
It was never really a frontier. And we can even see this reinforced when we look at the Egyptian words for various regions. They have this term Tarseti, which we've heard from previous lectures as well, which was used as a generic term for the land south of the First Cataract, but it was also the name of the first Upper Egyptian nome. So already the Egyptians recognized that the southernmost part of Egypt, north of the First Cataract, was sort of almost considered as if it was part of Nubia, at least in name. But if we project forward into the New Kingdom, we know that the Viceroy of Kush, which was set up in the early 18th dynasty, we know that he had jurisdiction over the region as far north as Hierakonpolis. So again, that's in Egypt, it's north of the First Cataract. So administratively, and maybe even a little bit psychologically, the Egyptians did recognize that the southernmost part of Egypt was actually sort of Nubia, or that this region was some kind of overlap between the two.
Okay, so the southernmost part of Egypt was Nubia. That's over. We don't have to, like, again, I'm not expounding. I had Chief X anytime we discuss. He can't get away from this. But this, I want people who are interested in the information to know that this is what the actual scholarship that is being taught nowadays teaches. Aaron DeSocia is a current nubiologist that you could contact right now, and he'll reinforce his stance. I see we got Hey Rue in the building. Tall guy. Hey Rue, what's up? If you buy your mic.
To the family, man. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. What's up with it?
I know my mic was messed up from this device last time. I was gonna jump off on my phone, but
It sound cool. It sound cool.
Okay, cool. Man, I was so frustrated on that side. Like, you could shut this shit down. You just shut them down. You play
Nah. You are breaking up. You are breaking up.
Jump back on my phone, please.
All right. Yeah, we heard frustration in Sonetta, but then it start breaking up. But I'm
Hey,
a,
Smash, when you explaining yourself so eloquently, and what you did on Sonetta, even a damn layman person could understand what you were saying, man.
exactly. And I mean, we could show all of this stuff in detail. That North African claim has been thoroughly refuted, and if we got PhDs saying it, why is we just listening to people that just want to get some views? Well, let's let this guy go. Let me see.
And then we can even add more layers onto this. We can divide Egypt into Lower Egypt and Upper Egypt. We can divide Nubia into Lower Nubia and Kush, Lower Nubia, which is Wawat, or Upper Nubia, which is Kush. And so this is showing that there's
What he just said, he said we could divide Nubia into Lower Nubia, Wawat, and Upper Nubia, Kush. Some of us make the mistake of thinking all of Nubia is Kush. That would be a mistake. Nubia ain't really had no king like that. It was so-called just a region. One person made a claim to it and called it Ta-Nehesi. It was Harsiotep. But he just said the four corners of the south, he had the crown of it. And so, I mean, we could clearly see as he's illustrating, he could say it better than me, so I'll keep playing.
even more complexity. And we even know that the ancient peoples were also recognize this complexity, because in the story of Sinuhe, we're told that a Delta man would be lost in Elephantines. So a person from the south would not recognize anything in the, a person from the north would not recognize anything in the south.
Now look, he said a Delta man will be lost in Elephantine. That was a statement by the ancient Egyptians from the tale of Sinuhe, talking about how the northerners is different. I mean, a Delta man will be lost in Elephantine. Elephantine is in the south. Elephantine. So people just got to understand this.
So the Egyptians were also cognizant of this diversity and these differences in their own land. We can take it a step further again by adding some regions from the Eastern Desert, which we know from the Egyptian words Ibhet and Medjai in the purple and yellow circles there. There are other regions which I could add, but I think what I've done here is try to demonstrate that all of these regions from the ancient texts and all of the ones that we think of in our heads, all of them overlap. So therefore contact between all of the regions and all of the peoples was surely inevitable, and that we can't really draw hard boundaries on ancient socio-cultural landscapes. But of course, as humans, we do try to do that. And if we superimpose the modern boundaries onto the map that I've just created with all the ancient ones, we can see that there is actually not any correlation between the modern boundary and what was going on back then. And in fact, the key point that I want to get across here is that Lower Nubia, which is in the pink circle towards the center there, is actually entirely in modern Egypt. And so we can then extend that to a consideration of how we approach this region as scholars in our disciplines. That when we divide Egyptology and Nubiology, that kind of reinforcing these boundaries that we know didn't exist and that don't work, but that we're also trying to undo. And this is a struggle that I've also had for a long time in Egyptology, where, I study a lot of Nubian material and I'm often perceived as not really being an Egyptologist. But that's a problem, because we can see that a lot of Nubia is in Egypt. So we need to think about how we think about our disciplines and how we perceive our disciplines and where their boundaries lie, or even if there should be boundaries at all. But to come back to this theme of diversity and complexity, what does it look like in the archaeological record? So I'll show you a couple of examples.
Now, this is who I was talking about when I said that these people from the land of Mijah, the Magi, were Egyptians. Listen to what he said about this pan grave culture. This is their grave culture.
We can see a lot of mixing and a lot of contact going on. And the first one of these is grave number 7 from a site called SJE site 410, which is located in the Second Cataract. So on the map there, you can see that little green star. And this cemetery was identified or excavated in the 1960s by the Scandinavian Joint Expedition to Sudanese Nubia. And the excavators identified this cemetery as a Pangrave and Kerma cemetery, but they noted that Pangrave and Kerma elements don't seem to occur together in the same unit. But I went to Sweden last year, and I spent a number of weeks in Uppsala at the Museum Gustavianum studying this collection, and noticed that in fact, Pangrave and Kerma elements, or at least what we think of as Pangrave and Kerma elements, do occur together in the same burials. So here on this screen, you can see that the pot in the blue square is or has parallels from Kerma sites like Kerma itself and from Sai Island. The pot in the red square fits all the criteria for a
All right,
Kerma
I'm gonna
vessel,
just
at
get
least
to
by
it. What are
according
you
to
gonna
our
say?
current definitions. And in the gray square, there is a bead, presumably Egyptian, made in faience, which is inscribed with the name of the pharaoh Senusret I.
Right here.
So
That's
we've
what
got.
I'm looking for.
So here is a list of sites where Nubian material culture or Nubian evidence has been documented north of the First Cataract. It's a fairly long list, but the list is not comprehensive and it doesn't actually denote every single individual site. So for example, at Mostageda, there was something like 8 places where Nubian burials were found. At Hierakonpolis, there are 3 Nubian cemeteries there. And of course, it only covers the period in question. There is other Nubian evidence from other periods from different places. The Nubian cemeteries, there's dozens of them in Egypt. They range in size from isolated burials to cemeteries of more than 100 graves. We also have Nubian evidence in Egyptian settlement contexts, from the Delta down to the First Cataract at Elephantina, and also out to the oases.
So now this is what I'm saying. He's saying Nubian evidence north of the First Cataract, 1850 to 1550, all the way up to Cairo, down to the Delta. We got what we call Nubian style graves, because the southerner style of burial was different than the northerner style of burial. And we should note that.
To the Red Sea coast.
But I just played enough of that. What's up with y'all? Hit the link if y'all want to build. We could keep on looking at this stuff, man.
We also have Nubian material culture that appears in otherwise.
It's just ridiculous at this point. So, so let's go back to my old article. Now, look at this. I didn't even whip this out on him. This would have just been cheating. Because people before us tried to answer these same questions. Right? And this now this has been attributed to Aristotle. Some argue that it's pseudo-Aristotle. That would make no difference because whoever wrote it was given a description of someone else. And they say too black a hue marks the coward, as witness Egyptians and Ethiopians. And so does too white a complexion, as you may see from women. The complexions of courage is between the two. I see we got sun. Let me see that suntan. Hold on, let me see. What's up with Sunchild? Sunchild, you in the building? Yeah, 3 cemeteries, not 3 burials. Burial sites. Sun, where you at, man? Sunchild. You gotta unmute your mic. Or maybe your mic ain't connected yet. Hey, you couldn't hear me, Sunchild?
I can hear you now.
Oh, okay, my bad. I think I was muted in the Zoom and I kept saying Sunchild.
Okay, yeah, thank you for allowing me in.
Peace to you.
Thank you, brother. Just a quick question. Is it fair to consider the Magi a tribe?
It would be fair to consider them a tribe, a southern tribe, and the majority of their land will fall out of the traditional borders of Egypt. But what like Kate Liska teaches is that it was an ethnonym in the Old Kingdom, meaning it would be used to say people from some place are related to particular so-called like a tribe. But after that, once they moved into Egypt, they start using the name differently. And then it got synonymous with some sort of authoritarians or people related with a job position with the king.
Okay, and would the Magi then, in that case, with the circle that was made in close to Thebes, would the Magi in that case qualify to Chief X's question of what sub-Saharan tribe was in Egypt? Could the Magi in that case qualify
I
for
mean, I
that
mean,
answer?
well, see, he didn't say what sub-Saharan tribe. His question was posited as what fat, flat nose, kinky haired, black skin is what how he actually posited it. So in all actuality, I could just say the Egyptians themselves. But
Okay.
since that was going too far, I wanted to give him. I mean, it's various people who was depicted in what old anthropology would call the true Negroid phenotype. It was plenty of people depicted in that old stereotypical, that way. And so that's not even a hard thing to do. And I don't know why, after seeing Rebecca Futo Kennedy and the other scholar, her name is leaving me right now, Sarah, I forgot her last name. I forgot her last name right now. Kara Cooney. After seeing them and even the dude Mustafa, who said he was a native Egyptian and his mom is hecka light and his dad is hecka dark, and he said Egyptians was black. I don't understand it. And so when we talk about some of these other indigenous North African tribes, we could talk about them. But can you see what I got on the screen right now? Maybe I'm not sharing it with the Zoom, am I?
Yeah, we can't see on the
All right, let me share it in the Zoom.
peace, man.
Peace.
Can I ask you
Yo.
Yeah, we can see it now.
Your mic went out.
Yeah, when you get the chance, can you look up when they started using the term sub-Saharan Africa?
1974.
I think people gotta understand that's a new term that they just started using. I don't know why they're making it seem like they've been using that term ever since 1920s when they first did the archaeological studies of these people.
All right. Shout out somebody. Tyray Kim said I need to teach some classes on MetalNet or whatever. Well, in my free time when I'm streaming, I'll teach whatever y'all want me to if I know it. Give me a second. Y'all can hold and build on the floor. But what y'all see on the screen about Aristotle's statement?
Yes.
Somebody want to read that for the people once real quick?
Too black a hue marks the coward as witness Egyptians and Ethiopians, and so does also too white a complexion, as you may see from women. The complexion of courage is between the two.
Now, some might say it says as witnessed, so they gonna say, oh, the Egyptians witnessed that. But he's actually talking about as witness, like when you see the Egyptians. But notice he didn't say the Ethiopians and the Egyptians. He actually said the Egyptians and Ethiopians when he's using blackness to simply denote their skin color. But this is the beginning of racism. Excuse me. Where they're starting to put qualities towards a person's skin color. Nevertheless, he marked the Egyptians as black. And he's not by himself. Diodorus Siculus, living in a different time period, 60 BC. We got the Ethiopians, say also that the Egyptians are colonists sent out by the Ethiopians. Chief X would think they talking about the modern day Ethiopians because he made a grave mistake on Sarnetta show, acting like the modern day Ethiopians was the ones that these people was talking about in ancient times. Craziness. Hold up, though.
They crazy, bruh. They crazy, bruh.
So what we got here? They say that the Egyptians are colonists sent out by the Ethiopians. Osiris, king of kings and god of gods, having been the leader of the colony. They add that the Egyptians have received from them, as from authors and their ancestors the greater part of their laws. So the Egyptians got their laws from the Nubians, if you ask Diodorus Siculus in his time period. Now they relate that to all the people, they relate that of all people, the Ethiopians were the earliest, and say that the proof is this is clear, and say that the proof of this is clear. This is what he's saying. Why is people messing this up?
Yeah, when you speak of the Ethiopians, do you think when they said Ethiopians, they only were speaking of Kush? Because I've seen where they're speaking of most of sub-Saharan Africa, even as far up as Eritrea. So when people say that Ethiopia, ancient Ethiopia does not include modern Ethiopia, I take issues with that. How about you?
Well, we have to address which scholar and which time period. For Diodorus Siculus, I don't think it would include those areas because we don't have no evidence of Greeks ever even going into those areas. You see what I mean? And so it's later times when they discovered that those areas actually existed, the modern day Ethiopia. Like they never knew of something called the Horn of Africa. But go right ahead.
Yeah, there was Herodotus and another Greek that he mentioned that spoke about Eritrea. They didn't call it Eritrea, but the ancient name they called it. It was directed to Eritrea, and also historian Robert G.
So that
Morton.
name you talking about that Chief X mentioned?
The
I'm Aksumite. Sure. He said something about the Aksumite Empire. You just got to look that up if that's what you're referring to. That's all Oh, that's not it.
Yeah. Go ahead. No, actually, Eritrea, it was a part of the Aksumite Empire. So yes, it would include a part of Aksum. So yes, but also a more modern historian, Robert G. Morcott, says that modern Ethiopia was a part of the ancient Ethiopia, according to Herodotus. This is what Robert G. Morcott says as well. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I was on mute. That'd be cool. That wouldn't mess nothing up. But because if you look at Herodotus's map, he just said everybody south of the Egyptians, they called them Ethiopians. They didn't have no other name. And so
modern Ethiopia is south of the Sahara.
It's south of the Sahara, but it's kind of like southeast. If you just go down the Nile, so he was referring to the people down the Nile. We could look at it. But I would not disagree. Everything that they did encounter and knew of south of the South, they called Ethiopian, because they didn't really have no. He probably didn't even go to Merowe or that far down. You know what I'm saying? And so, because you know why? Because he thought the Nile started running west. And if you went that far down, how you think it started running west at Merowe? It actually started running east a little and north, east, north, northeast. But yeah, but everybody knows that the Greeks weren't talking about the modern day Ethiopians. Now let's talk about this. They just took on that name in like 1953 or something like that, family. Like something really, really modern. You see what I'm saying? Like that, so you could look that up. It's either in the 70s when they became 1953. So it's extra modern to call that area Ethiopia.
Well, I had this discussion with Brother Garfield when he had that challenge about whether the modern Ethiopians called themselves Ethiopians, and what we discussed was that in the 1st century A.D. there was an Ethiopian king, or rather in Aksum, and he made Greek the lingua franca in Aksum. And my idea is that the Greeks called everything south of Egypt Ethiopia, and so they would call Aksum, where they were living, Ethiopia as well. And I would believe this is where Izana got the idea to call where he was, the modern Ethiopia, because it had been Greek had been the lingua franca there since the 1st century, Izana coming along in the 4th century. So the idea is that Garfield would have me believe is that Izana only called it Ethiopia because he had conquered Kush, and then he took the name from Kush. But what I found is that Greek was being spoken in Axum during the time of Izana since the 1st century, which leads me to believe that they may have called it Ethiopia, which is a Greek name for the area. Like I said, there was Greeks calling it.
Do you have him calling it? Do you have King Azana calling it anything but Axum? Or do you have him calling it Ethiopia? Because that would mean a great deal.
I believe that it's settled that Izana actually called it Ethiopia. I think we may all agree on that. I think Garfield's stance was
I
that it
thought he
wasn't.
called it Axum, but I don't know.
Well, we'd have to look at that because I believe Garfield's point was that it wasn't called Ethiopia until Izana in the 4th century. So I believe he's saying that Izana is the one who calls it Ethiopia.
Now,
He may
how
have
closely
changed.
related to Christianity do you have these empires?
They're related because Izana is the one who turns Ethiopia or Axum into a Christian empire.
Mm-hmm. And
Yeah.
so now,
And so at the
so
time,
do you,
there are a lot of Greeks living in Ethiopia in the Axumite Empire. And
and
like
you're
I said,
talking about after the collapse of Greek Egypt, right?
after the collapse of Greek Egypt, yeah, perhaps. I'm not too. You might know more of that history than I do.
Yeah, so then think about it. If your source is coming from then, do you think it's contemporary to even what we have on the screen? This attestation from 60 BC?
This is Diodorus
Now,
Siculus.
not even contemporary. Let's be fair. Not even contemporary. You know, it's not the same time period. But let's be fair and say, do you think that he's seen the same people and was referring to the same people who were the people of King Azana, basically?
Yes, perhaps. Like I said, I have the Greeks Herodotus and another Greek whose name I'm just not coming to me, who talks about Axum or modern day Eritrea as Ethiopia. So I wouldn't doubt that even as far back as this Diodorus Siculus, this is 60 BCE. Yeah, because doesn't Herodotus go back to 400 BCE?
Yeah, but we
And,
know that Azana got Ethiopia from. It was existing. That name existed before his time period. We know that, and his kingdom
yeah,
was Axum, and it was him who called it Ethiopia first. Right? That's what you said, right?
right, right. But what we're saying is, where did he get the name Ethiopia from? And we're saying that that Greek was the lingua franca in the kingdom of Axum during the 1st century AD, and he comes along in the 4th century AD. So my contention is that if Greek was the lingua franca, they would have been using the word Ethiopia there.
Yeah, they were. But in King Azana in AD times, so he took a term that was being used since BC times, and I got BC attestations on
Yeah,
the cream, and he took it and called where he in about what 300 something AD or what about?
yeah, around the 4th century AD.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. And he took the term and said, my area over here is called Ethiopia. And with defined borders, the Axumite kingdom. And now the modern day Ethiopia we know is fairly close to that, but it's not fairly
yeah,
close to what the well, again, if you could go before Azana, is not fairly close to what the Greeks who invented that term was talking about to me.
yeah. I think they would be talking about Kush or northern Sudan. But that's where the contention with me and Garfield would come in, is when they talked about Ethiopia, Herodotus, were they just talking about northern Sudan, or were they talking about that entire region after below the Sahara.
And what do you
Because
think? What do you think they were talking about?
I believe they were talking about the whole area because they also called India Ethiopia. They said there were two Ethiopias.
Yeah, I know, but that's the Western.
Ethiopia.
He had Western and Eastern, like you said, but he said in his attestations what areas he was talking about. So if we was to think that Eastern Ethiopia that had something to do with the Indians, that's all out of Africa right there. He basically just
Right.
saying dark skinned people, because he
Right,
even
some
said
people,
their
yeah.
hair texture was different than the other Ethiopians. And so these
Right.
other Ethiopians in his time period was basically who we call Nubians. But modern day Ethiopians aren't who we call Nubians. You see what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, that's all I've got for now. I appreciate the time you've given me. I'll do some more research. Perhaps we can add on to it.
All right. Well, I mean, we just building, so ain't nobody else unless somebody else got something to say.
Oh, there's no one else. Okay. Yeah, but I did want to say, keep up the good work, Smash. You do great work.
Oh, I appreciate you, and thanks for you and everybody else who support the channel.
Oh yeah, and I really appreciate you as an artist as well as an MC. You know, that takes it to another level. You know, seeing someone who's an artist, especially in hip hop, who really is, does well with the knowledge as well. It's very rare. It's very rare that you find someone as intelligent as you are as an artist. It's just wanted to give you your props.
I appreciate
Yeah, I'm co-signing that right there. I'm co-signing that all day.
Appreciate that, family.
Not only that, if I may real quick, you do it in a way, you drop the knowledge in a way that's not corny because you got that hip hop foundation already. You got that street foundation already. So you know how to break. Like Hard Coops is just a perfect example, bro. Like you do the shit. You don't even curse, I don't think, one time the whole song, but the shit just hard as hell. Shit just be hitting hard. Like I love the way you do that, man. That's it.
Word up. I appreciate that. That's good words right there. Word up. Here we got Herodotus' actual claim on the screen, but this ain't the claim where he was trying to indicate who the Egyptians were. This is the claim where he was trying to tell people who the Colchians were. And in their description, he says, my own conjectures were founded, first, on the fact that they are black skinned and have woolly hair, which certainly amounts to but little, since several other nations are so too. But further and more, especially on the circumstance that the Colchians, the Egyptians, and the Ethiopians are the only nations who have practiced circumcisions from the earliest times. So now he lumped them in with the other two people that he said was black, and he say, hold on, the Colchians dark skinned like them, and they get circumcised too. Now, if you read further into this, he's saying that they were a colony sent out by Cirrhosis or whatever. But the Greeks ain't just saying this for nothing. Amanianus, Marcellinus, it says, the men of Egypt who are mostly brown or black with a skinny and desiccated look. So he wasn't trying to be complimentary. He was lightweight hating on the skinny legs we be having. He like, man, they looking skinny. But he said they mostly brown or black. Now, we could continue this for the whole 30 slides I got. But all they gonna say is an excuse for why all of these different men in different time periods use their term for black. And the Greeks got about 4 terms for black. They notice in most of these instances here, they often use melanis, and they will attach the suffix to it to say either black skin, black something else. Melanis is the root to our word for melanin. It was one of their darker hues when they wanted to talk about blackness. Y'all can check all of these sources. And hold on, man. I need to know if somebody caught my book lately. I do got one to send out to my sister Stacy because we need to get some more. I'm waiting, and they say they come in a couple days, but you on the list. And then when that day come, I'm about to do a live online book signing. I'm gonna sit here with a table open and with my book stacked on the table. And if y'all want to sign one, I'm gonna pop it right in the envelope and sign it right then for you on live on the YouTube. Apollodorus, 2nd century AD Greek philosopher. Now, Egyptos, and this is a tale. I need to explain this because you gotta actually know your source material. In this tale, he talking about Egyptos is like a mythological person. But he's saying Egyptos conquered the country of the black-footed ones and called it Egypt after himself. Yeah, I said the Magi were Egyptian. I hope y'all don't have no problem with that. I think I understand it all at the beginning of this video.
Yeah, what time period is he talking about right now? This guy, Apollodorus.
Apollodorus. 2nd century CE is when he wrote. Well, this was a mythological tale, but we got to note that in these tales, whether they're trying to be true accounts or mythological, Egyptians get the description of being black, even their feet right here. Let's go to their arms and their limbs on the next slide. No, this ain't this. Yeah, it is, their limbs. So, Achilles, if I'm saying that right, somebody could probably say that better. And we're going back in time, 520 to 456. This is a tragic poem. And it says, in the supplants, Dianos fleeing with his daughters, the Daniards or whatever, and pursued by his brother Egyptos, remember that story I was telling, it was kind of mythological, with his sons and the Egyptiades, who seek to wed their cousin by force, climbing a hillock, looks out to sea and describes the Egyptiades at the oar afar off in these terms. I can see the crew with their black limbs and their white tunics. So he was spooked that these people on the boat who was rolling up with these black limbs and white tunics that they called the Egyptites or whatever, Egyptites, were coming. Now, why did all these people say the ancient Egyptians was black? Where am I missing this? Am I reading this wrong? Let's just take this one quote from Achilles Tatius, all right, of Alexander's, Achilles. He compared the herdsmen of the Delta to the Ethiopians and explained that they were blackish, like half-castes. But see, I just quoted Job on that, all right? I had to go tertiary on that because I had a hard time finding. And that's from Diop's work. And we can find that in the UNESCO General History of Africa. All right.
That's 4 different Greeks right there. That's 4 or 5 different Greeks. So when they try to shit on Herodotus, you can pull these out right here. That's because people always like to pull apart Herodotus. Sorry, go ahead.
It's like 10 in my book. It's like 10 in my book. And here we go here. People tried to say these wasn't dreadlocks. So we found Amenemhat had the third. They tried to tell us these wasn't dreads. These are 2 different representations. Look at this representation. What is they talking about? Ancient Egyptians didn't wear dreads.
That look like me.
You feel me? I'm about to, you know what? Shout out to my supporters of the show. I'm about to put up that right there for all the people who want a quick shout out. I just put that on the screen. But y'all got something y'all want to build, go right ahead. And I want to say thank you to a few people real quick already. Sister Denisha, Robert, thanks for the cash apps. Yeah, what I mean? Arrows up. Yo, anybody out there in Breaker 1-2, y'all there?
Yes, sir. I want to jump back to that Sonetta live from an hour ago or so, man, and just the way, I'm gonna tell you I was mad, man, because I think, and you done already shut the argument down 10 different ways in the last, over the years, but he kept saying that Egyptians was not Nubians was not Egyptians. And the one question, and maybe I'm oversimplifying it, and it's easy to say when you ain't actually in the exchange, but in my mind, all you had to say was, bruh, what's the first motherfucking nome of Egypt, bruh? Period.
Mm-hmm.
What's the first nome of Egypt? The Magi ain't black? Okay, what's the first nome of Egypt?
Exactly.
What could he do?
He can't do nothing. Oh, but he gonna keep doing, no matter how much evidence he see that show that he wrong, he just gonna keep maintaining his position. Everybody know I hit him with that Tasseti was Tasseti already.
Yeah,
that the
man.
first nome in Egypt was already there. And it was all go ahead.
No, I was just mad because I feel like you gave him room to slide around that last 30 minutes or so, man. And I wish I was wishing at that time you would have really played that video, but you played it. I rewound it because I missed a lot of the earlier part. You did play the video where you was clowning the shit out with all the scholarly attestations that, you know, there was no impermeable border between northern and southern Africa. You know what I mean? Especially on the Nile and the cataracts and all. You shut all that shit down. But I don't know if a lot of people got to hear that in the beginning or not. But I wish they would have heard that. I felt like you gave him too much wiggle room in the end. And I just wish you would have just said, hey, what's Nubians ain't Egyptians? What's the first nome of Egypt, bro? But anyway, that's all I got to say. That was my only comment, man. I was in my feelings about that.
Anybody else
Killed
out there?
it with that damn intro video, man. That video, man. He ain't come back from that. He was concussed.
Yeah, he was humiliated lightweight. He didn't have nothing to say.
That video going down in history, bro.
When it said smash, go lay down.
Waterfalls.
So for my brother, American Dream, who act like he didn't hear me answer the question the first time he typed it, he wrote again, smash, did you say the Magi were Egyptians? And I answer again, yes. Like, what part about that don't you understand? So let me show you now the more up-to-date documentation where I can always lean on these scholars to show you that people don't got an understanding. Now, first, we need to read her other document, the ethnogenesis of the Magi. Ethno being like your ethnicity in Genesis. So now, with the current borders of Egypt, this ethnogenesis is found outside of the current borders of Egypt by the well of Abet. As she says here, we have come from the well of Abet. I'm not arguing that their ethnogenesis was inside of Egypt. I'm arguing what she argues in this document here as we look at the onomasticon of Amenemhotep, right? And what we'll learn in this document, which was a teaching document for ancient Egyptians, is that the Magi wasn't just no police, they wasn't a race, that the what she argues is that the ethnonym Magi falls off in the Old Kingdom. Then we have a second intermediate period, and now Magi, after the second intermediate period, Magi don't mean you come from a place no more. And it's kind of like similar terms we probably could think about in hip hop or in other. I wish I could think of a term that is just like that it used to mean you was from an area. Now, like from the town. It used to mean you from Oakland. I don't care what nobody say. You could go in history. Too Short 1985, 75 girls putting from the town on the map. Then in the early 90s, H-Town, a group called H-Town from Houston took that and started saying H-Town, then that became the town. Now the Bronx is the town. But and so now if you're from the town, you ain't necessarily an Oaklander anymore. Well, the same way if you're a map, because from the town used to mean you was from Oakland. Now it's you just from you just saying you from the town is like a mindset that other people got. Brooklyn people say they from the town. I hear Doggy Diamonds, he be like he from the town. Fine, that's cool. But this is how things spread. And so in this document here, she shows that the name Magi stopped being used as an ethnonym. Now, I'm just going to read some of it. The Nubian ethnic group known as the Magi first appeared in Egyptian historical sources early as the 6th dynasty. The sources which date before the New Kingdom demonstrate clearly that the Madjai ethnic group worked for the Egyptians as mercenary. However, the historical sources of the New Kingdom are ambiguous concerning the meaning of the term Madjai and the role Magi played in Egypt. So this is what we get, and I just got to telling people it's going to say this, but we're going to get to her details. It says in 1910, W. Max Mueller posited the theory that the term Magi in the New Kingdom no longer distinguished an ethnic group, but rather designated as an occupation similar to policemen or desert rangers. See, that's what dummies who just only use wiki. I don't even take the dummy word out of it, because Chief X was just going to the wiki, not knowing that I keep telling you I got the article on the screen that debunked all of that. It actually literally say policemen and desert rangers on the wiki. Let me show y'all this right here. Look, let's say Madjai, M-E-D-J-A-I. And I do appreciate the cash apps. I just heard that go off, so I appreciate that. Let me see. M-E-D-J, Madjai wiki. Now this is what his source say. Now this is what I'm trying to show y'all. When you know the homework, you know what the wiki referring to. It says it Desert Ranger Police. Now let's go into the real homework. What does it say? Policemen are desert rangers. So this is how we know that it was W. Max Mueller who posited the theory that the term Madjai in the New Kingdom no longer distinguished an ethnic group, but rather than a local population of desert rangers. So what else would that mean? That means if somebody called you Madjai in the New Kingdom, you wasn't linked to the people who ethnically was called Madjai. So now people don't understand when I'm telling them that it started in the ethnogenesis as a people group, but through time, and we talking about 3,000 years of history, you could just be born in Egypt and be a Magi. And this is going to show this clear. She's going to say it in more than one instance. It says this theory was more convincingly reconstructed by Sir Alan Garner in 1947. Since his publication of this theory in 1947, most Egyptologists have accepted the theory that this word had lost its meaning as an ethnic designation in the New Kingdom. So when people saying Magi after, really not even the New Kingdom, after the 12th dynasty, after the first intermediate period, when you say Magi, you're not necessarily talking about some people from a particular area. Although this theory is mainly supported by textual references from Deir el Medina, the most persuasive evidence is the appearance of the word Madjai amongst the other occupants in the onomasticon of Amenemhotep. It says, although Gardner devoted an extensive lexicographical analysis to the term Magi in the publication, he put forth little effort to explain the nature and position of the term Magi in the onomasticon of Amenemhotep. In contrast to Gardner's work on the topic of Magi, Michael Columbot has compiled other evidence in the attempt to demonstrate that the term Magi in the New Kingdom does, in fact, refer to an ethnic group. Now, she beat the brakes off both of them. Although the latter body of evidence is compelling, it has yet to explain the appearance of the term Magi amongst occupations in the onomasticon of Amenemhotep. So this is where they get beat up if they still teaching that Magi was the police. Because we got this homework, because we the Magi. Now look, this paper will examine the entry of Madjai or Magi in the onomasticon of Amenemhotep to understand better its function within the entire text. Although this paper by nature investigates only one text, this text is extremely important for understanding of who the Magi were in the New Kingdom. So you see, nothing I'm saying ain't based on fumble bumble. It's based on stuff I've read on the subject. And in this document is another term. Now, before we get to it, is another ancient Egyptian term that is linked to the word Magi that she used to give away that it don't mean police. And she about to break it down. So it says, on the onomastacon of Amenemope was originally composed at the end of the 20th dynasty, no earlier than the reign of Ramses IX. 9 copies of the manuscripts, all of which date to the dynasties 21 or 22. The term Magi, number 188, appears in only 2 of the copies of the text, namely the Golenish copy and in the copy made of the few papyrus fragments from the Ramseum. It says the Golenish copy, an earlier 21st dynasty version, is the most comprehensive and complete. It was found inside the, I don't want to, y'all can do your homework. I'm just going to get to what we're talking about. Let me see. All right, product scribal office. It says in Gardner's commentary on the Magi and the Onomastacon of Amenemope, he assembles an extensive body of textual references in order to trace the development of the term Mijah. He further examines the titles in Mijau, which is a chief of the Magi, which first appears in the 13th dynasty, and this is what I'm trying to say, and the title Hori Majau, captain of the Magi, which first appears during the 18th dynasty. Gardner also briefly looks for the less common term Adenu, or IDNW, Ajenu in Mijau, which is a deputy of the Magi, also known from the New Kingdom. Thus, the term Mijah appears in 3 titles that are otherwise made from the traditional elements of Egyptian bureaucracy, nomenclature, Hori, and Adenu. It says, Magi's appear as part of these titles support the theory that the term Magi is used to represent an occupation rather than an ethnicity. Okay, do y'all see that right here? Hold on. Because people still think that Magi is a damn ethnicity. And I'm trying to show, no, Magi was Egyptians.
Bombs.
Hold on, let me show you where it say that. I think I tried to make it bigger. And y'all can build, who was that? That go on and build right there while I find it. If you got something to say, I mean. Here we go. If y'all can see it. It says, Mijah's appearance in this part of these titles support the theory that the term Mijah is used to represent an occupation rather than an ethnicity. So somebody asks me and they think they're jamming you up if they say, are you saying the Magi was Egyptians? I can either say, yeah, because I read the homework. Now let's read it. Now, in the Old Kingdom, if you ask me that question, the answer would be different. But the Old Kingdom was only 6 dynasties, 1 through 6. So after that, they moved into the Egyptian area and they paid taxes back to the Pharaoh and they was considered Egyptians. These are the only titles that contain the word Mijah in the New Kingdom. Intriguingly, it says none of these 3 titles are found in the onomastacon of Amenemope. Gardner concludes that each of these titles also indicate an occupation, not that you just popo. Now she goes into the onomastacon of Amenemope and she shows what these other titles were and proves that they not police. And so, I have no problem with them being the authority because the previous notion was that it was some Nubians from the South. And if you could prove that it was Nubians from the South who policed everything, then you already showing who in control. So I didn't even know how y'all thought that worked for y'all. But let's keep on going to where she starts to get into her research and breaking down these Medu Neter terms right here. The reading of and it says Majaui, and it's probably Haba or something. Let's see what she has. But it says Majaui Haba and the onomastacon of Amenemope. It says now, in both the Golenschnef and in the Ramsai copy, the term Mijah is written clearly in the hieratic text. Gardner transcribed the hieratic as, let's make it bigger so the other Medu Neter readers can read along, because she's not going to put the words. And so what I said earlier, if y'all can see this, probably can't. I'm trying to make it as big as it can be made. So she's going to show that they all kind of different people. But basically we got the M, the A, so, and this is the DJ. This is the Mijah word, Magi. Mijah, U-E. and it has a Y at the end. So she just said madjai, right? Now you got this man with this stick and a leg. This is not the B leg. This is a different term, and this term that she's going to use, I think it is like awinu or something, is this term that she's going to use to show that they not what you call it. But check this out. Now Gardner read these last three glyphs right here as determinatives, and she's going to talk about Golden Chef and whatever it says, Ramseum. He transliterated the word Mija'u. Both examples exhibit the determinative. See, she got the foot, and then you got the 2 feet and the man. In the Golden Chef copy, these determinatives appear after the Y, the papyrus roll, and the man, which could serve to equate only as the only determinatives for the word. However, in the Ramseyan copy, we got the leg, the 2 legs, and the man with the Z2, or the 3 strokes, are the only determinatives that appear in the word. This group of determinatives is highly unusual in the spelling of magi. It says, when the sign, see, hold on, let me just stop. Now, y'all know Chief X level of wiki knowledge could never even provide you with what I'm showing you that I already read, and I want you to see what I've seen so you can see how I came to my conclusions. And you're going to see right here, she's about to tell us. Almost here. She said, appear in the word. The group of determinatives is highly unusual in the spelling magi. When the signs, the foot, this is not the B foot, trust me, and there's these 2 legs and the man, stand alone, they can be read as or she says, ara, a fugitive, all right? Or as the title, ati, administrator. Let's stop. Because she's going to break it down that between these 2 options, the text shows us that it don't mean a fugitive, and it does mean an administrator. Shout out to Black Ice and the contribution to the channel. It's much appreciated. My man Black Ice says, smash. What's good, bruh? He says, do Chief X claim the ancient Egyptians aren't black? They're Egyptians, but the Africans in sub-Saharan region are black? Yeah, that's exactly what he claims. And then they try to use this term. It's not antiquated, but it's anachronistic. It is Egyptians. It's out of chronological order. The ancient Egyptians could not just be Egyptians because the term wasn't even there yet. That's a Greek term. When they was building the pyramids, they was the Remech, Kemetiu, the people of Egypt, the people of Kemet, excuse me. You feel me? The people of the black land. And someone just argued that the Sudan was the land of the blacks, but Egypt wasn't. I say that's inconsistent. That's a lie. Egypt was the black land. And how y'all know it ain't because of the people? Every time I ask you for a source on it being because of the Nile soot, no one can come with a primary. All you can go to is what some other people said. So we're scrutinizing a scholar's work of a primary account of the Onomasticon of Amenemope. So when we say go to the primaries, this is what we do. But I'm giving you a secondary because if I just read it off the walls, y'all gonna be like, you just made that up. So let's look at this. She said a fugitive, or as the title, Atu, administrator. Now, y'all think I'm lying when she gonna say that most of these mean they administrators and not fugitives? Well, let's see. Thus, it is plausible that the entry in the Golden Schnuff copy only is, in fact, 2 titles that were reduced to 1 by Gardner. So, Mija'ui Atu could be read as 2 different distinct entries. Mija'u and Atu. You see that? So this is how we're learning about the Magi ain't a people group. Now watch this. The following word, the word following Maja'u is new, hunter. You see that? She gonna break this all the way down. It is implausible for the Atu in new to be a title because no other known attestations of these words in combination exist. Atu officers are present in text from Deir el Medina. Now listen. Their duties are often similar to those of the Hari Mija'u in that village. In fact, a witness list in the marriage contract dating to the reign of Ramses the 11th includes 6 Atu who may have also held the title of Hari Mija'u. So the foremost of the Magi or the chief of the Magi. Thus, Maja'u and Atu are not intrinsically associated, but occasionally occur in similar contexts. However, there is no reason that Gardner's original transliteration of Maja'u need necessarily be incorrect. Although the spelling is rare, I don't want to do too much readership. It says a similar spelling appears in 3 letters of Berlin, blah, blah, blah. These 3 letters are related to the same conspiracy in which the death of 2 magi are planned. All right, now let's go back. Now, I'm going to just go back to where she's breaking it down more, so I won't have to do too much readership. And we read these conspiracy letters too on another show. All right, so anybody want to say something, go right ahead.
Yeah, I'd like to share something. I fell off. I had a call, Smash. Can you hear me?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I'd like to share something with you that I've found. It was Pliny the Elder, by the way. He was a first century historian who mentioned Adulis was the name of Eritrea in the first century during the period of the Axum Empire as well.
Okay.
But Pliny the Younger, he called Adulis, he said it was the principal port for the Ethiopians. This is Eritrea.
Interesting.
So you have
he
Eritrea.
used the word Ethiopians?
Yes.
That's good. That's good to know. But he didn't say their area was called Ethiopia, did he?
No, the name of the area itself, I believe they use the name Adulis.
Yes.
If you look up, if you Google Adulis, that should pop up with the information.
I'm with that. But we didn't find Ethiopia no further than our man being that area no later than Azana yet, have we?
I have actually here. I looked up Ethiopia. It says Hesiod, Greek historian Hesiod, 8th century BC.
Uh-huh.
You'd probably find this interesting. Hesiod, 8th century BC, speaks of Memnon as the king of the Ethiopians. In the catalogs of women, he stated that the Egyptian king Epaphus was the progenitor of the Ethiopians and other dark-skinned tribes. He wrote, "For verily Epaphus was the child of the almighty son of Kronos, and from him sprang the dark Libyans and high-souled Ethiopians, and the underground folk and feeble pygmies."
But the source we're looking for is one that places Ethiopia in the day that it is now before Azana, not one that just mentions it. That's placing it right where I said it was.
In the 8th century BC?
Yeah, read your source again. He said he's talking about Libya being close to Libya.
Yeah, he's talking about the Egyptian king Epaphus as the progenitor of the Ethiopians and the dark-skinned Libyans. Now, this is the 8th century BC. You said you're looking for Ethiopia. This is before Izana.
So this is what we're saying. Remember, the argument was whether or not it was Izana who placed the name of Ethiopia on the modern-day area where it is now. But you're pulling out a source that's got it still next to Libya. He said the Ethiopians and the Libyans. So
yeah, and Egypt, yes. And also with Pliny the Elder, he puts the Ethiopians in Eritrea. He doesn't call the place Ethiopia, but he says Adulis is the principal port of the Ethiopians.
Yeah, that's fine, because you want to know why? That would be the principal port of any. You could say that's the principal. I mean, that works. But what we're trying to find is the area being called Ethiopia, because that was a generic term for burnt-faced people in the South. So they could just be saying, oh, okay, it is the a principal port of the burnt face people in the South. Until we found this area being called Ethiopia, which you found, you presented it with King Azana, but that's 300, that's like 300 AD. And so to argue
Right.
that source at 800 BC was talking about that same location that you got at 300 AD, it ain't right. And it's just, I don't think you would be trying to do that.
Well, yeah, I'm not sure if that's what I was trying to do. I thought the interesting part is it talks about dark-skinned Libyans and Egyptians as well, and that's what triggered had my antennas going, not so much with the yeah.
Oh, my brother,
But that's,
Black Ice just put up another contribution. Shout out to you. And he says, by his logic, hey, if we keep getting enough contributions, I could keep streaming. Because if not, I'm about to go flip some bag flips on the street corner with a can standing right there, and they're gonna be like, "Ain't you casual?" So let me see. It says, by his logic, shouldn't they also say Nigerians aren't black? They're Nigerians. Yeah, that's true. He's talking about Chief X. And why would you need to use sub-Saharan and black? And why do you think he used sub-Saharan and black interchangeably? Very good questions. Yeah, by that logic, basically they're saying that black is a social construct like everything else isn't. Egyptians, you just was born with this word Egyptians tatted on your arm. Like all of these are social constructs because countries are social constructs. We say which line that if you cross this line, you're in a new state as far as America. But if you cross this line in Africa, you're in a new country. And so these are all social constructs. So you're right, Black Ice. You can't say the ancient Egyptians was just Egyptians. That's a social construct brought to us by the Greeks. Ancient Egyptians would have never called themselves Egyptians ever, 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 ever on the history of the earth. If anybody can find an ancient Egyptian calling themselves Egyptian by that name, I'll bread you out.
Smash, what would you call the southern border of ancient Kemet? What would you say that southern border was? Is it in the...
I would call it Tash Reshi. You want to do that? Let's do that. So we are able to do all of this for people. And I didn't say that to be funny. So let me show you what I mean. Certain stuff we could pop in Google and get different results. T, capital S. Then I'm going to put a space and put RSI. Then I'm going to say Egypt border. Let's see what pop up. Dang, they ain't do us like that. So sometimes Google don't even know. So what we're going to do is go to the College University of St. Andrews text corpus. Anybody can follow this link. Is y'all seeing my screen? And we're going to go down to a person who, so this is the history behind what we're about to see. Because it all leads up to what we were talking about. In the 6th dynasty, so in the 5th and 6th dynasty, it was too much beef with these Asiatic sand dwellers. Called by that name, I'm not being biased here, that's what the ancient Egyptian called them. And since it was so much beef, they had to start going. The first person to go into the south wasn't even Winnie or it wasn't Harkuf. It was a guy in the earlier dynasties under, I think it was under one of the early pharaohs, but I don't remember. So next we got Menkaura or something like that, if I ain't messing that up. Marinra at about the 5th dynasty, who sent Winnie to the south to go, because they had beef. They had to get more people. So they went to go get their people, just like we do. You gonna go get your cousins. Well, they went and got them, and what they said in that document is that when he found the leader of the Madjai, they were chasing the leader of the Timahu into the far lands of the east. And so Winnie chased him and pacified him and brought him back to Kemet in order to have these fights. So I'm telling the story too long. Let me make it shorter. So then they didn't really prevail. How do we know they didn't prevail? Because Pepi II had to do it again. He had to go send somebody, and he sent Unez to the south. No, I'm messing all up. He sent Harkuf. Unez sent Winnie or whatever. He sent Harkuf. All right, let me get that right, and we can look this all up. Now, Harkuf went to go get some more Magi archers because they had a fight again with some Asiatic sand dwellers. But how do we know they didn't really prevail? Because after Pepi, there's what we call the first intermediate period. So then that lets us know that whatever he was trying to do to keep everybody paying taxes back to him, he didn't proceed. You know what I'm saying? He did not succeed. I said proceed. He didn't succeed. And now when we come to after that whole intermediate period, we come into the Middle Kingdom. It's the 12th dynasty. And so we come out of that intermediate period with Amenemhat the first and the Simroset kings. They all one little clique that seem to have prevailed. And when I say prevailed, I don't want to talk about no fake wars or something. All I can say with actuality is they got all of the people that we call Egyptians to pay taxes back to their family. And so that mean that the Shemsu Heru was down with them. And so let's talk about it, because now y'all see on the screen, this says the second Semna still under Simroset the third. Now, with that backstory to what I'm about to show you, people gonna get a greater context to this information that has been weaponized and exploited, the relationship between Simroset and his Southerners. Now the reason why I'm going up is this, because all of these say Simroset the third, right? But we need to start with his father. And we're still talking about this border. I hope y'all know I'm just giving you a thorough answer. And so if I could find Simroset the first, because it was Simroset the first, coming out of this intermediate period, he was now aware of this threat from the south. Who made him aware of that threat was Mentuhotep, who following the tradition of other Egyptians, he went into the south and asked about, shout out to 42 Tribes with another contribution to the show. I appreciate that. And with the brief interruption for 42 Tribes, we're going to read this. It says, X lied about the Moors. He showed white Moors from the Book of Games. Google Moors in the Book of Games and you will see black Moors. Yeah, we know he lied. He lied about the inheritance. He don't know nothing. All his information is from Wiki, So he might have some other good qualities, but talking about this information, he don't get a chance to show those qualities. He just got to show all his disingenuousness and all that. So since I can't, y'all can see here that I'm not seeing Simroset the first. We went to the top. So in order to now, I got to tell more of the story. So with Simroset, first of all, it was Amenemhat the first who bring forth the term Kemet. So this 12th dynasty family. They got some, it was Professor Mario Beatty who said they had some geopolitical motivations behind bringing forth this name, Kemet, as a political entity that represented them as black people. That's Professor Mario Beatty. And I actually quoted that in my book. And now, here we see on the second, it says second Semna stele. This is the second Semna stele. Before I go into that, I need to show people where Semna is. Because this is going to crush everybody when they get the true understanding of it. So coming out of that fight, right? You see Semna? Well, y'all see how far this is? Well, people can't tell how far this is. This is Thebes right here on the map. This is Elephantine. Let me make the map bigger. So Semna is past the second cataract. You see Segunda Casada. That's the second, Segunda Casada, second cataract. This is Semna right here. Below the Buhin Fort, below Belina, below all of that is where Simroset the third set up what you call his Tash Reshi, or his southern border. The southern border of Egypt was right here.
Wow.
That means now he met some resistance in these areas, but he didn't met complete resistance. And that would mean all of these people from Buhin up were Egyptians during the time period of Simroset. So when we go to his stele, we're going to see how people weaponize this information, and we'll be able to see it in all three languages. We could practice some of our metal nature, and we can do a few more things. So this is St. Andrews giving us this information. So Now, you're going to see the term that I referenced when I first started talking about this. It was Tosh Reshi. Now, I'm not tripping side 12, and I got the facts on the screen I'm about to show you. So you seen it says Simna Stella, and then, dang, but this is taking, y'all see it? I don't know if y'all seen it, but I'm trying to upload this one, and it's taking a little bit of time. I love the people who just can't really get on the chat and show how I'm tripping. Because they know they don't want to be another one of them people who thought they knew enough and they don't know enough. So this says here, the second Simna stele under Simroset III. Now let's remember, his father took the border south and included more of the area that we would call Lower Nubia into Egypt. And he went further south and included more of the area. But what people like to, they did this and they said, oh, he went to the south and made slave raids. But if you read this the proper way, you ain't gonna get none of that. So this is his stele, and y'all can see the metal netter. If y'all want to do some of that, cool. I'm just gonna read the English. It's gonna be a word we're looking for, Tosh Reshi. It's gonna say the southern border. And you know, I'm skimming through it at a pace where anybody who want to read what it say can just read it. But first, this might not even be the right one. So we're starting right here. Year Rimpet Sep 16, I bet 3. Right? That's what this say in Metal Netter. There go the transliteration. Shout out to Anointed Sadat for the contribution. And I'm going to tell y'all, this January has been one of the best months for my show. In a few days, I'm going to do a show about monetizing your page and let y'all see my back end. But I appreciate all these contributions. Now, look, Rimpet Sep 16, I bet 3. You don't know have to read the Metal Netter or anything to see that that's what it say. Because they got all three. They got Metal Netter, the transliteration, and this. This is what it means, though. Year 16, the third month of the season of growing. Well, see, they're not really telling you that this season of growing is I bet right here. So this is a particular season of the ancient Egyptians. Now, what does they say? It's going to go to the term I was talking about. Look, southern border. I said Tosh Reshi. Y'all don't remember? When I started this, I tried to put it in Google to see if Google could provide us with this term. This is the southern border of Egypt. Now, look, it says His Majesty established the southern border at Hay. All right, so that's where he established it at. So let's go. So no one can argue that this ain't the border of Egypt. Now look what he boasts about. I established my border farther south than my forefathers. See this word Tash, that's the border, and this is the E, Tashi, my border. So I'm just showing people. And this is it indicated right here, right? And this is him saying my border. So y'all can see that in the Metal Netter. Now,
killing it.
Let's keep going. Now watch this. I added to what was bequeathed to me. All right? I am the king who speaks. He ain't saying what the other people be saying he did. He's saying I'm adding more on the Kemet of this area, but let's trip off it. I am the king who speaks and acts. Now, I'm not trying to act like I have to show people. I make it happen what I conceived. He was about it. I make happen what I conceive, eager to seize, like I gets it. I'm eager.
And what dynasty was this, Smash?
This is the 12th dynasty, Simroset III. Now it says here, hasty to succeed, in those hearts a matter doesn't slumber. We would have to translate ourselves to get it better from that, but we're not doing Metal Netter right now. We're going to take the university for what they put. Anticipating inferiors, suppressing mercy, merciless to the enemy who attacks him. Let me make this smaller. To the enemy who attacks him, who attacks one who would attack, who is silent, one is silent, who replies to a matter as it befits it. For to be idle after an attack is to strengthen the heart of an enemy. Aggression is valor and retreat is cowardice. All right, this is him. He wrote all this on the stela. Now he says, who is driven from his border is a true coward. Now this is where they take this text and weaponize it with these with these translations of these terms. So what I'll ask you, to be fair, is first listen to it the way that it is written by the university, to say the Nubian, as if this is a people group, right? And it says, for the Nubian listens to the words of the mouth. Answering him is to make him retreat. So what does this mean in this translation? If you say something to a Nubian, he gonna get up out of there. Now, this has been weaponized and used by people to say, look, ancient Egyptians didn't like the Nubians. But luckily, they put the Medu Neter here for us, right? And so we could work through that. We say Jer Net, Sajim, Nehes, Chor, and Ra. So when they say Nubian listens, let's see if this term can be translated as Southerner. Why? Because the sentiment that he has is true towards a Southern contingency that he wants people to know that he is ruling over. And it's not the Nubians, it is in particularly the Cushites. This is what we learn. It is because in the newest excavations of the Cushites, what we find is Pangrave burial or Pangrave culture mixed right in with this Magi culture. So what I'm arguing here is that this isn't really a people group like the translation would lead us to believe. So for the Nubian listens to the words of the mouth, answering him is to make him retreat. I'm arguing that he's just talking about Southerners that he wants to be bigger than. If one acts aggressively towards him, he turns his back. Retreat and he will take occasion to act aggressively. So he's saying if you retreat, the Southerner is going to act aggressively. For they are not respectable people. Okay, do you see this? This is Simroset sentiment to people below. Now let's talk about it for a second. Remember when we looked at where Simna was on the second cataract? This is where he placed these words. I want people to understand that, meaning these words aren't directed to people above this stele. He's going to prove it because he's going to say when they cross this line. So if we go back to the map, this is similar way below the second cataract. And he's going to say when they try to cross this line, they are entering Egypt. He's also going to say, don't let no Nehesi cross these lines except the Nehesi that want to come here to trade. And so with a real good analysis of it, we can see that he's just talking about some Southerners. But let's keep going. My Majesty has sent them. It is no lie. I captured their women. So again, now this is used to say what? That Nubians is a race and he enslaved people of this race. So what I say is, nah, he beat up some people of the South and they were multiple different ethnicities and people group. It would be some of Madjai, it would be some people from Wawet, it would be different ones. But let's talk about this, and this is what I want to argue. When he say, I captured their women and I carried off their underlings, went into their wells and drove off their bulls, this is what I want to ask y'all. I don't think he's talking about people below this second cataract line. So now I think he's talking about, because look, at first the border is up here and then he start pushing down. So now since the term could just mean Southerners, he could indeed be talking about these people who he's now including into Egypt as Egyptians or whatever, but you got to be fair to it. He not talking about the people that he's scared of that's furthermore south. He talking about the ones that he slapped up when he was expanding the border down south more. But if we think that they are like one racial or people group, that's when we being misled. And so all of this did occur, and that's why I wanted to read this. Now let's look at what happens. It says, tore out their barley, set it on fire, as my Father lives for me, I speak truthfully. There is no boast that comes from my mouth. So he's saying, this is what I did, family. Now, as for for any son of mine who shall maintain this border that my majesty established, he is my son, born of my majesty. It befits a son that he be a champion of his father and maintain the border of his begetter. As to him who shall lose it, who shall not fight for it, he is not my son. He was not born to me. All right. It says, now my majesty had a statue of his majesty made at this border that my majesty established it. So this is just one of his texts because he had two of them. So let me show you the other one. This ain't the one where he say, don't let no Nubian cross except these type of Southerners. So I want you to see it. Let me go to this one. There's three of them in here.
And while you're doing that, Smash, where is Tassetti in relation to this area you pointed out? I know on the map.
Right here.
No, go ahead. I'm listening.
Basically right here.
Gotcha.
So this says Primera Casada. That's like the first cataract. So the Tassetti would be this, but to think about the overall bigger Tassetti, it could go all the way down here. So they had a Tassetti was their nome, but there's also a greater region which they would call Takenet, which was a part of Tassetti that was outside of the quote unquote borders of Egypt. But now we talk about different time periods because they taking the border way down here as we see. And I want to get to the proper style so y'all can see exactly what I'm talking about. Since I read that whole one, I don't want to waste nobody's time, so I'm going to go right to where he is saying it. He says some of the other stuff. He's saying it again. He is driven for his borders, a true coward. The Nubian listens to the word of mouth. But let's see if he say these additional statements about people trying to travel into Achen. If I can find it. Second Simla Stella. It must be the first Simla Stella. It's a matter of time. All of these got 6 pages, so it's making me think that I haven't identified the other one I want to show you. So I'm just about to look for it for a moment. Simla Second Stella. Second Simla Stella. I think we might want the first one. But what you'll see is they start using this term Nehesi interchangeably with well, you can ask yourself, is he meaning a Southerner here, or is he meaning a well, you can do it with the same one here. This is another one of his stella where he's saying the same thing. But see, they just dissected these. This is the bottom porter. So Tash Reshi, the southern border, made up in year 8 of his majesty, the king of upper and lower Imru Kakaura, give life forever until eternity to prevent any Nubian should cross it. Now, this is my question. If you know that this border is set down here at the second cataract, maybe some people need to see another version of the second cataract so they could get it in mind how far down it is in Egypt. Right? Because if he's saying anybody who crossed this line and he way down at the second cataract, right? Then here go the second cataract down here. Now here go old Nubia that they flooded over. Now read what he said about people crossing this line because he was at Simna. And this is my ultimate point about it. He says to prevent any Nubian should cross it or by selling by it. Now hold up. We already know Nubia that we know is above that cataract. Listen, am I presuming that we know that?
Yes, sir. You killing me.
Thank you. We all know that the Nubia we know. Nah, if they did say you disrespected me, Juju, you know they just was on some bullshit. Juju one of the last PKs with a wrench over here, and I don't even mean nothing either. But see, it's like this: we tear apart relationships on an individual basis. We don't tear apart relationships on a group basis. Oh, and Brendan's still over here, a moderator too, and DQ too. So y'all know. And she said something. She said what she said, but shit, that's Juju. Y'all stop hating. Now, my point is, if he's saying anybody who don't let no Nubians cross this line, well, all of what we know as Nubia is already included above that line. So to let us know when he say this word Nehesu here, he's not talking about Nubians. I did see American Dream that came in, and I ain't about to do too long of a show, so let's let him start doing this thing. What's up, American Dream?
Peace, Smash. Thanks for letting me in. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes, sir. Peace. Yeah, you did a good job of defending your position today. Good job on that. I had a couple of questions. A couple of them I asked in the chat. But other than that, I thought you did a really good job of defending your position. I don't agree with your position, but regardless, you defended it well today. So good job.
Word up, I appreciate that. Shout out to Sim Supertar Ahmed, who's asking, Smash, can I get a signed copy of your book? Yep. Next week, I'm gonna try to do it on Sonetta TV or maybe on my show, where I'm gonna do an online book signing. So if somebody want a signed copy, I'm gonna have a stack on the table. Feel me? And
Yes, sir. Please
for
do
anybody
that.
who buy them.
Please do that in the evening, because I know I have a hard time catching up with you during the day. I hope you do that in the evening if time permits.
And we're going to seal them up right on the screen, and we driving straight to mail them off right after the show. We're going to try to beat Amazon with the service. Only somebody real small could do that, though. But I know you got some up your arrow in your quiver.
It's nothing crazy though. All I want to say is, from the short time that I've done any type of studying on Egypt, one of the thoughts that I've always had about the ancient Egyptians is that, I've always thought that they were really racist and really just like full of themselves and like that type of thing, which is kind of why I kind of questioned, not just questioned, just accepted that they weren't black, just for that reason. And when Dr.
Racist or nationalist?
No, racist. I used to think they were racist. The idea that they had the four races, that they labeled them as racist, and they thought that they were kind of, for lack of a better term, God's gift to the world. Like, this is what the Egyptians thought of themselves.
So wait, I'm sorry for interrupting you, but what race are you talking about right now? Race. You said race.
Exactly.
Yeah, in the in the Book of Gates, they speak about the four races.
See,
the
that's
Egyptians
what I'm saying.
classify the four races, but that's just all I'm referring to, and I'm just explaining, right or wrong. Man. I'm just explaining why I feel that I've got the feeling that they were racist, because when I read it explained it as racist.
American Dream. We talked about the Book of Gates before, and we gave you. So are you not accepting the fact that the ancient Egyptians, in their language, they don't say nothing about race in the Book of Gates? But it's Egyptologists, based on the mistranslation of a word Remech by E.A. Wallace Budge, who call that the Book of Races. But see, you just said that the ancient Egyptians...
I'm not convinced by that.
That's fine, but you just said the ancient... I read the language. I can show you there's not a word about race in that text. But you just said the ancient Egyptians talked about race. They don't. They don't talk about race on the Book of Gates.
Tribalist? Sure. That is I think a proper correction to make. The Egyptologists translate it and say they speak of race. So that is a correct correction to make. But I'm just explaining why I got the feeling that they were racist is because from reading about just how the Egyptologists that that I I don't want to say trust but appreciate just from their translations and how they explain it.
But
just for me, and I'm not saying anyone else got it, but I just got the feeling that the Egyptians, given that they felt that they were God's chosen people, and just that all foreigners were just were they called foreigners chaos, and Egypt was really heaven and everywhere else was chaos. So for that reason, I kind of imagined them as being like if they contributed. I always felt that one of the things they also contributed is possibly racism to the world. I may be taking it too
I'm
far.
not trying to go hard and to disagree with you. A lot of what I research you can use as evidence in your regard, but I don't come to the same conclusions as you. Like when I pull up the text,
Right, absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, like some of my stuff, you could use it to say that that's true. Like when the one text that say, "A people are of the same skin," and then they say and then it is what's his name who said Plutarch who said the ancient Egyptians did not like to associate with people of a reddish color. If you wanted to write a document and frame it that they were coming on at some racism, you'd have to just use the right terminology. Because the way you're saying it right now is kind of not right, but I see your overall
But
theme. Because real
indeed,
quick,
and if I
go ahead.
sure, I guess if I can get to continue, I think it would kind of explain why I'm kind of more kind of confident in saying it the way I'm saying it. And the reason that is listening to Dr. Banoob on Chef's show. Like the way he spoke, like was
Wait a
for
minute, bro.
me.
I got to cut you off, bro. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
for
Are you
real.
serious, bro?
Yeah, he might
Are you
get put in the back.
serious?
Hold on. Who cut him off? You got the floor. Whoever cut him off, I've officially got the floor because he tripping.
Really? No, let me just finish those Smash.
All right,
Come on, that ain't right. Let me finish my thought. Like Dr. Banoob for me, because Dr. Banoob um said that he's an Egyptian, but he's not black, he's not African, he's just an Egyptian, and he even accepted that what he said came off as racist. Can
The
I just
nigga didn't
finish,
even know
please?
what Coptic was. He didn't even know the word.
Get up out of here with
Get
that
the
fake
fuck
ass
out of here,
Dr.
nigga.
Banoob shit.
Yo,
Hey.
but he say he claimed he was a pharmacist. Like, what doctor?
What is you talking
Hey,
about,
didn't you
man?
hear me talk with Dr. Banoob? He got the brakes beat off him. He don't come in
Stop
here
it.
talking about somebody's YouTube name, Dr. Banoob, and acting like they are more than Dr. Bob Dabalina. Like, you know what I'm saying? He just
And he send you the wiki, bro. Like,
yeah.
The fuck out of here.
Yeah, thank you. He got the boot. That's that same old American dream, Dr. Banoob. If y'all don't know, we was on the show the other day with some little kid acting like he a doctor, and I asked him for one source, and he just said, "You're not an Egyptian anyway."
Right.
That was his answer. And
I know American Dream saw that shit too. I know he saw that shit.
Yeah, like I'm like, why
you
are you
saw
doing
Chief
this?
X and them was all giggy with them and all that. Yo, that shit was crazy.
Yeah, that is crazy. Hey, y'all
Motherfucker
got the
got
floor
mad as
though.
hell when you asked him for a source, bro. He folded the fuck up when you asked him for a source.
I
Just
know.
that simple question. You
was-
was polite as hell too.
Exactly. Hey, I'm
And
gonna
the
take this
other-
call. Y'all build real quick if y'all want. Yeah.
And the other guy was destroying him also. Yeah, that whole conversation was crazy.
That dude was a fucking clown, man. Like he wasn't even. He did that. I promise you, that motherfucker ain't spent a day in graduate school, let alone getting a PhD or whatever the fuck else he claimed to have, which he didn't have. He couldn't even argue. He couldn't even have a debate with any decorum. That shit was a joke, man. That's somebody living in their mama basement.
That was sad to watch.
I'm sorry. You can go ahead, brother.
Dr. Banoob. He actually had some people who didn't know that thinking that he was referring to a real PhD or something. You know, when Dr. Banu,
Yo, Smash, can I share something real
he
fast?
talking about a YouTube personality whose name is Dr. Banu, y'all. But go ahead, you can share the screen. Let me make it so you can share the screen. Go ahead, yeah. Oh, well, let me finish this real quick. To prevent any Nubian should cross it by sailing north of my land with the ship or any herds of the Nubians, apart from Nubians who shall come to trade in Megursa. See? Now hold up. If you translate it that way, it don't really make no sense. But if we understand that this word means southerner, it make more sense. He not only letting the black people come in who want to trade or with any message, he's letting the southerners who come in to do trade cross that line. And that's my point that I was looking for to make it. But yeah, you got the screen right now and you can share it. Then I need to go get me some food. Who want to buy my lunch on some Reggie right now? Reggie say he take care of Smash too. Reggie say take care of Smash too.
But if I could just say, since the American Dream brought up the Book of Gates, he mentioned in the Book of Gates you have the Libyans, or what we consider the Tamahu. And like I said, when this Hesiod mentions the dark Libyans, that's kind of what raised my antennas, and he associated the Libyans as dark, and he associated them with the Ethiopians and the Egyptians as dark as well.
Yeah, but he didn't put them over there in the Horn of Africa, though. You feel me?
Yeah, I think I have a source that does here, though. One Hecataeus of Miletus. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I got that source. Yep, go ahead.
Yeah, he stated that Ethiopia was located to the east of the Nile as far as the Red Sea and the Indian Ocean.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, and even Herodotus isn't bad either. Herodotus says Ethiopia was all the inhabitable land south of Egypt, which is Sudan.
So to the east of the Nile or east of the Nile? What did he say?
East of the Nile. He says it's. Hang on, let me find it. He said that Ethiopia was located to the east of the Nile, as far as the Red Sea and Indian Ocean. I think that's pretty good as far as where.
That's the best one I heard you bring today, and that's the one. I do remember Hecataeus saying other things, but I would have to look into that and see what's up with that. That's a good one.
Does he give any other borders, like southbound or anything like that, north and south?
No, he only says east of the Nile and as far as the Red Sea and Indian Ocean.
Right, because that could go down to Uganda. You know what I'm saying? Like that doesn't necessarily mean just that section of Ethiopia, Eritrea, Somalia, that area. That could go all the way down, to Uganda.
Uganda. But let me ask y'all this: would that be? Will there be from our indigenous people there? Have any of y'all talked to indigenous people that named it besides Ethiopia, like Damat, Aksumite? What was the name from the indigenous point?
Mm-hmm.
The name of Ethiopia.
What you call Ethiopia, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I think before Axum, as far as modern Ethiopia is, before Axum, it was I think we would say Damit,
Yeah, so I was saying DMT. Yeah.
All right, I'm about to get ready to get up out of here. I'm about to go eat some. Shout out to the people who hit me with the Cash App that just said that. That's good on you. Now, I'm probably gonna go have me some good fun, ride around and see what I can do in this city, man.
Hey, Mr. Owens, before you go, you heard when he said DMT and you got KMT. Is there any connection, Kemet, Dimit?
I wouldn't be able to say so, but if you can find one, find one, let me know. Anybody else want to get any closing words in? Oh no, somebody was about to share their screen. Hold on, we got to do it right. Finish sharing your screen, then we can close down.
And while we got this pause, Smash, are you going, brother?
No, I ain't going. I'm right here. We waiting for dude to share his screen. Y'all can't hear me?
Hey, let me get on. And when he starts, I'll be quiet.
You got it. You got the floor. Go ahead.
I wanted to catch some of the bars that I missed in Harkuf, which is, you said it's in my Shinu, and then I think you said, I'm Bennu giving y'all, is it truth, or what is that line right there?
I said truth, yep.
Okay. And Bennu is is a person you're referring to, right? Bennu.
Bennu is the bird, the falcon. They call it that. We know it as the phoenix, but Bennu is the Bennu the bird. Look up Bennu. I'm about to put him on the screen. The stork, right? So I said that's in my Shinu. I'm Bennu giving y'all shoot Bennu Egypt EGYPT.
Gotcha.
Probably.
And then iron core for meteorites is like shard truth, right?
No, chartreuse is a color.
Oh shit, that's where I messed up at.
Chartreuse. Let me see if I can put chartreuse is a color. So I'm gonna share my screen. I said the iron core for meteorite should be chartreuse. You know them rhymes, boy.
Man, that was off the hook.
I'm trying to tell you, man.
Hold on, let me share the screen. Let me share the screen if I can show you. Where does Zoom go? I was like, oh, nobody would have thought to rhyme chartreuse with hard coof. That's just lyrics. You see this right here? Bro. Chartreuse? That's how you say that color. So if you fish, you know that chartreuse spinnerbaits catch the best bass.
I don't see it yet. Y'all see the screen?
Y'all don't see that yet?
No, not yet. I just see Harku. Is that?
Oh, maybe I'm gonna try again. Sure. How about that now? Y'all see it now?
It got the queen up.
The queen.
How you spell it, Smash?
Nah, don't trip. I'm putting it on the screen. Oh, you gotta unshare your screen for them to see it. Yeah, if you unshare your screen, then you whoever got their screen shared.
I took it down.
Oh, look, you see chartreuse?
Is it green color?
Y'all still don't see that?
No, we don't see it.
All I see is a green color.
Let me stop. I'm gonna share it one more time. Yeah, I'm just gonna share it one more time. It's probably me. So,
okay,
here we go.
Chartreuse.
Now y'all see it now.
Yes, sir.
You see that color right there?
It's kind of green lime.
Yeah, I said the iron core from meteorite should be chartreuse. So let's go look, because King Tut made a dagger.
Yes.
Out of King Tut's dagger. Let me see.
Yep.
King Tut's dagger. He made it out of meteorite. And I always wondered, how did they know? And then I started doing my own investigation, and I turned it into a rap lyric. It's because
this shit crazy, bro.
Hey, it looks like that when they found it on the deserts of Egypt. The meteorites looked at that color a little bit.
Well, they got a core to them. So let's look at meteorite iron and see meteorite core ore. You know what I'm saying? It's gonna come from this. It ain't gonna be all the way chartreuse, but when you get into the inner side, you're gonna get this. They give you that. Some of them will give you this greenish looking color, like right here. You see what I'm saying? So in order to know that I just wanted to rip it. I mean, because I want to put facts in my raps, but I still want the rhymes to be on a level. Like, did he just say that?
A double entendre?
You the king of that shit, bro.
I appreciate you saying that. You know what I'm saying? Well, what else you see in that action? Is it a double entendre? I'm trying to see. What else you see in that? The other meaning you see in that? I'm just asking because I only put a direct meaning in it. I just was literally only talking about the iron core and meteorites to be chartreuse. But I'm hardcore. I should listen. I don't know.
I'm seeing a source on it's Washington University, I think. It's source.wustl.edu, and it's showing the actual meteorite appearing in that color. It's like,
yeah, and so the thing was, meteor would hit the ground in Egypt, and then they would go out and find it, and then they would carve out weapons for the pharaoh out of that meteor. And I wanted to know how they had so much game like that. Like, how could they first know that this one was a meteorite and this just a rock? We can't even do that.
That's deep.
You know what I'm saying? Like, can we do that? I can't do that. But now, if I look at more meteorites, then I will be able to say, okay, this is a meteorite. But now that I know that the core inside of it will if you bang it and tap it, it should give off, on the inside, you should see this light chartreuse color.
So you would say that would come from years and thousands of observation from the high priest to know which rock was rock and what was meteorite.
I don't know how they knew that, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, they was bosses, dog. How could they even know how to trace down a meteorite in ancient times?
Wow.
A meteor.
That's real.
Like,
they had to be dealing with them type of metals for years then.
But they wasn't hopping on no horses, and you know it was going to hit in the sand somewhere. So maybe they didn't see it come out the sky and go track it down. Maybe they just was looking through the ground and they could tell some different rocks had different qualities.
Yeah, That's what I mean. They dealt with so many different metals that
Yeah. And
they
then look at
probably
all the time they took. Look at all the time they took to do those calendars to get the great year. I mean, who was observing, writing it down, observing, dying off, new people coming up? Man.
Shout out
That's
Kareem for the
awful.
Cash App. I'm appreciating y'all. This is one of the best supported channels in this. And I'm blowing through this little community. All the detractors in it is they dead. Y'all need some new characters. Like, I mean, I gotta move to a new level to this game. Because playing these same characters, I'm beating y'all last masters casually, you know what I'm saying? And I'm ready for some better competition. Like in order to take this argument to the world. Like where they at? Next thing
Smack,
y'all
real
should do
quick.
is get somebody who read the Metal Netter who disagree with me. That's all y'all could do. Go get an Egyptologist who can read this shit. And then when I box them up, what y'all gonna say? Like, damn, he knew it better than the other person.
Bro, you like the beast on Kung Fu Hustle, nigga. Just looking around, you try to you broke out of jail just to look for somebody who was worthy, a worthy opponent. This shit
Right.
wrong.
It's funny.
Real quick. Can you hear me?
Hey, but yo,
If I could just get a final word into the brother who mentioned Ethiopia and going all the way down into Uganda, what I read about Hecataeus. We can all agree that Izana gave Ethiopia the limits that it has today, but the argument that they're trying to make is that the ancient Ethiopia didn't even include Ethiopia today, and that's
Yeah.
that's what we're
No,
trying to
that's
say.
fine. That's fine. And I'm with you. And I will give you credence to the sources that you brought out. But you got to know, I hope people don't think what you're saying is in support of Chief X. Because what we need to know is that the old Ethiopia started, and I don't even want to say started, the areas that we know as Nubia was included in the old Ethiopia. For my argument, that is the point that needs to be stressed. But I think Sunshine brought some very good information to show that it might have spanned it all the way far to the Red Sea.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, they even talk about two Ethiopias going back into India. I think the book Anacalypsis, if you're familiar with that book, talks about Ethiopia.
Joffrey, what's his name? Geoffrey?
Yeah.
Thanks
Yes,
for the
sir.
Kareem.
Yeah.
Thanks for the Cash App. Look, I'm about to go eat, y'all. Appreciate y'all. I'm gonna sit down,
Smack,
relax.
quick, can you hear
You
me?
want to
you,
say what
brother.
you got to say? Go ahead. Peace.
Yeah. Listen. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Oh, I just wanted to add, I heard a conversation from today. Jabel Hood. Can we check him out? And didn't he have a tribe?
Hold on. Say that again.
JEBL
JEBL.
IRHOUD.
Now this is in Egypt.
No, check it out. We're talking about today's debate. I'm trying to rush it. Let me slow
What
down.
debate? What debate? Me and
I'm
Chief
not
X.
conversation that y'all had. Yeah.
But what was the location you just cited? It started with Jabel. That normally means a rock.
Look,
That's
Google
Arabic.
Google it right quick.
All
Jabel Hood.
All right.
Who is
So
that?
spell
Who
it
is
again.
that?
Spell it again for me.
JEBL
JEBL IRHOUD.
Yeah. HOUD.
Oh, what's this right here? I don't know nothing about this. Tell me what I'm looking at.
Where's it at?
Oh,
Let's
y'all
see.
can't see it. Hold on. It's something about some DNA or something?
No, JEBL.
Yeah, I got it on the screen. I'm about to share it with y'all, but
What first of all, what color is he?
He's black.
And where'd he come from?
I don't know. You know more about. I'm just now got it on the screen. So hold on. I'm gonna share my screen for you so you can see what I see.
And wouldn't he have a tribe? Was he just the only one there?
Oh, I don't think he would be the only one there. So this is what I see. That's what I'm saying. I can't. This is all I seen. But when I look down, and it shows.
So can I get $100? Can I get 50?
I mean, I don't know what's dude's problem. He need to run that hully. So now somebody gonna say, nah, this person got hair on him. I wouldn't even have to go that far back to say that this person was who we talking about. But yeah, I see your contribution. Shout out for that. I'm gonna research this and learn more about it. You want to tell us something more about it?
Nah. I'm just,
He looked like the Moor. over there in Morocco.
So this represents where they found him. Jebel is like a rock. Our heart is over there. Like we got Gibraltar, the rock of
that's what I see.
Gibraltar.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
that's where they getting that from. And so
Yeah.
they saying they found his remains at some certain particular rock. But thanks for showing
that's
us
not a
that.
modern
Yo,
human,
I
is it?
haven't ate all day, so I'm about to bone out. I
Okay.
appreciate
Yeah,
y'all.
let the God eat. That's
Word
real.
up.
Appreciate
I'll be
you,
back
man.
later. Appreciate y'all too. Thanks for supporting the channel. Peace, peace, peace. And shout out to American Dream for trying again, but getting swatted down. Look, no more detractors over here, even if you think you're going to sneak in. The only way is you could come in and say the right things. As soon as you say that BS, man, we ain't got no time for that. It's 2020. We kicking you out. Because we've been talking to you for 4 years. All right, appreciate y'all. Thanks for helping the channel grow. Share it. Do something else. We out of here, man. What should I eat? I had a crab boil the other day. That was kind of cool. They got Old School Sizzler by where I live, and I've been like, I want to go to Old School Sizzler. Sit up in Old School Sizzler and get some of that good ass bread. They got some Mongolian barbecue, some Chinese restaurants. Here I'm gonna go get a cheesesteak. See? All right, I'm out. I'm a holla. Appreciate y'all.